Hi, this is Dave Tanner, CEO of the Sacramento Association of Realtors. It is about 5:10 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, April 7th, 2020, and I am making this statement to you in response to actions that occurred in Sacramento County this afternoon. Sacramento County revised their stay-at-home order, and in many respects they tightened it, but in one respect important to us, they made some aspects of the real estate industry determined to be an essential service. This does not mean business as usual. I can assure you this does not mean business as usual. If you start acting like it's business as usual, this order will not remain in effect for very long. In the discussions I had with the Director of Health for Sacramento County, I assured him that if he made these changes, that it was not going to be business as usual. But I cited some aspects of our business that would be very important to have it declared essential, such as somebody that was having to close on a 1031 tax-deferred exchange. The last I heard, the federal government has not extended the time period for performing those exchanges. Also, there were a lot of people that had homes that were getting ready to close escrow when the stay-at-home order was issued, and they might have been one inspection or one appraisal sign-off on some work having been done, and that was the only thing they needed to close escrow. And I emphasized that it really was not fair to keep them from being able to perform those minimal tasks when there are a lot of other industries going on, such as the construction industry. Since I made that statement, I can tell you that in Los Angeles County, they are now looking at the construction industry exemption because of a lot of abuses that appear to be going on down there. So watch for more on that later. But I say this to emphasize to you that this is not business as usual. If you make it business as usual, this will not be an order that will remain in effect for very long, in my opinion. I want to read some highlights from the order to you and then talk about a few things that I think you need to do. On the top of page 2 in the order, paragraph 2, it says, "The intent of this order is to ensure the maximum number of people stay in their homes or places of residence to the maximum extent feasible, while enabling essential services to continue to slow the spread of COVID-19 to the maximum extent possible." On page 5 of the order, paragraph 10, it says, "This order is issued in light of the evidence that the prior stay-at-home order has been generally effective in increasing social distances, but at this time additional restrictions are necessary to further mitigate the risk of transmission of COVID-19, to prevent the health care system from being overwhelmed, and to prevent death." At the bottom of paragraph 11, it says, "Where conflict exists between this order and any state public health order related to the COVID-19 pandemic, the most restrictive provision controls." Stay-at-home orders are still in effect. Social distancing is still in effect. Absolutely not business as usual. For the purposes of this order, individuals may leave their residence only to perform the following essential activities. This is in paragraph 12 of the order. However, people at high risk of severe illness from COVID-19 and people who are sick are strongly urged to stay in their residence to the extent possible, except as necessary to seek or provide medical care or essential governmental functions. Essential activities are, and as you go down through the list, when you get over on page 9, it says, "Service providers that enable residential transactions, including rentals, leases, and home sales, including but not limited to real estate agents, escrow agents, notaries, and title companies, provided that appointments and other residential viewings must only occur virtually, or if a virtual viewing is not feasible, by appointment with no more than 2 visitors at a time residing within the same household or living unit and 1 individual showing the unit, except that in-person visits are not allowed where the occupant is still residing in the residence. No showing of occupied properties. These services must be carried out in compliance with social distancing requirements as defined in this order to the extent possible. Going over to page 12, item I, for the purposes of this order, all essential businesses must prepare a social distancing protocol. An example of a social distancing protocol, a 3-page document, is attached as Appendix A to the order. For each of their facilities in the county frequented by the public or employees. And for the purpose of this description, I believe that independent contractors would fall within the description of employees. The social distancing protocol must be substantially in the form attached to this order as Appendix A. A copy of the social distancing protocol must also be provided to each employee performing work at the facility. All essential businesses shall implement the social distancing protocol and provide evidence of its implementation to any authority enforcing this order upon demand. The social distancing protocol must explain how the business is achieving the following as applicable: limiting the number of people who can enter into the facility at any one time to ensure that people in the facility can easily maintain a minimum 6-foot distance from one another at all times, except as required to complete the essential business activity, where lines may form at a facility marking 6-foot intervals at a minimum, establishing where individuals should stand to maintain adequate social distancing, providing hand sanitizer, soap and water, or effective disinfectant at or near the entrance of the facility and in other appropriate areas for use by the public and employees, and in locations where there is high-frequency employee interaction with members of the public. Regularly disinfecting other high-touch surfaces, putting a sign at the entrance of the facility informing all employees and customers that they should avoid entering the facility if they have a cough or fever, maintain a minimum 6-foot distance from one another, sneeze and cough into one's elbow, not shake hands or engage in any unnecessary physical contact. Any additional social distancing measures being implemented should be spelled out in the protocol. Those must be prepared by each business before they allow anybody to enter. They must be posted on the entrance to the business. They must be provided to every employee. As I said, an example of them is attached at Appendix A to the order. This order shall become effective at 11:59 p.m. today and shall remain in effect until 11:59 p.m. on May 1, 2020, or until it is extended, rescinded, supervised, or amended in writing by the health officer. And it is so ordered by the health officer of the County of Sacramento. That is the order. It does say that we are essential business. That does allow us to enter into some activities because of the particular circumstances in which our clients are needing to conduct the activities. There are further restrictions on that, of course, and they said that if there are further restrictions, you need to follow the further restrictions. One is both NAR and CAR have made it very clear that there should be no open houses. It is my belief that the first person that puts out an open house sign and somebody from Sacramento County staff sees it, that will be the end of this order. You must act responsibly. Remember, our entire mission here is not to sell houses. Our mission here is to save lives, to stop the spread of the virus. and to keep everybody as healthy as possible. As we mentioned earlier in one of our other broadcasts, SAR issued a Form RLA-CAA, the Listing Agreement Coronavirus Addendum or Amendment. In this, which is an agreement between the listing broker and the seller, it spells out all the things that all the people that a seller agrees may enter their property and for what purposes they may enter that property. It is my opinion that if you do not have this form signed, or if you allow somebody to enter that property for some purpose other than the ones that have been authorized by the seller, and if the seller subsequently becomes sick from COVID-19, that the seller is probably going to sue you for endangering their life by allowing people to enter the property that they did not authorize to enter. At a meeting that SAR had the other day with E&O attorneys, attorneys do not very often agree. If we all agreed, we couldn't make a living. But every E&O attorney there agreed that if you allow somebody to go into a property without the seller's written consent and the seller becomes ill, E&O insurance is not going to be applicable, and you're going to be on your own for handling your own defense. The other form that SAR prepared is a PEAD. These forms are available in zip forms. The PEAD spells out very clearly the way in which people have to behave if they're allowed to enter the property. You need to have one of these signed by the seller. If there are multiple sellers, I believe you should have one signed by every seller. And you need to have one signed by every person that's going to enter that property. It very strictly controls what their conduct is and the terms under which they are entering the property. Now, there's a lot more information that we want to make available to you, but as I mentioned, it's 5:10 on Tuesday night, so we will make more detailed information to you on our website and on our Facebook page sometime Wednesday morning. But for the interim, my message to you is this is not business as usual. If you act like business as usual, you will not see this benefit lasting very long, in my opinion. So behave responsibly. Remember, these are not designed to interfere with your ability to make a living. These are designed to interfere with the ability of the virus to kill you. Take it seriously. People are dying. Don't be one of them. Stay home. Do not subject clients. Do not expose workmen to unnecessary hazards. But if you have a critical function which must be performed now in Sacramento County, you have the ability to go out and do it, but do it responsibly. No open houses. No mass showings. Follow with social distancing. Be sure the forms are signed by the seller. Be sure the forms are signed by every prospective buyer or workman. Otherwise, stay home. Thank you. Please follow these instructions, and we'll provide more information to you tomorrow.